It's precisely 6:15. This is the news on Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News is edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe and read by Sabrina Zawahir. The headlines. A commission will be appointed to solve problems of railway workers. Development projects island-wide will be implemented according to a national plan. The government says there are sufficient fuel stocks for 10 days. It has been emphasized that all governments should be held responsible for the present dollar issue. Sri Lankan and Dutch foreign ministers resolved to intensify cooperation. Sacred relics and the crystal gem will be taken to the Digawapi sacred site on the 2nd of next month. And in world news, Russia launches invasion of Ukraine, China rejects the term invasion. And in sports news, the first T20 match between Sri Lanka and India will be played today in Lucknow. Now the local news in detail. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa instructed Minister of Transport Pavitra Waniarachi to appoint a commission to resolve issues of railway workers. The President gave the instructions following a visit to the railway workshop at Ratmalana today. The President said all existing issues, including recruitment and resource management, must be addressed within 2 months. The President said that a recruitment methodology should be prepared to absorb groups who have been trained at Sri Lanka German Technical Institute and other vocational institutions by removing problems when recruiting trained workers. The President instructed Chief Engineer Kirti Hevavitharana to prepare a full report on identified needs during repairs. The President instructed to auction about 6,700 tons of discarded items at the factory premises and to utilize the income, about 600 million rupees, from the auction for the needs of the railway employees. The President, paying a special attention to the workers' demands, emphasized the need to prepare a proportional procedure for the groups who join the service as labourers by considering their service and training. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has instructed officials of the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development to work according to the national plan when implementing development projects island-wide. The Prime Minister emphasized this while taking part in the progress review meeting of Urban Revival Programme, Colombo Urban Revival Programme and other related projects. The meeting took place at the Temple Trees yesterday. The government has planned to construct 50,000 houses by 2024 for housing schemes within insufficient facilities in urban areas. Minister Udaya Gamampela said in Parliament today that all governments from the past should be held responsible for the present dollar crisis. He said that full payments should be made to purchase oil at present. There are enough stocks of petrol for 10 days and diesel for 8 days in the country. The minister said steps would be taken to purchase additional stocks. Minister Gamampela mentioned this as a reply to an accusation of opposition leader Sajid Premadasa, who said there is an energy crisis in the country. Meanwhile, Minister Chamal Rajapaksa said that alternative lands will be given to all those who lost their lands to Bibila Sugar Company. He said the agreement to launch the company has been signed in 2018. Foreign Minister Professor J.L. Pires met with Foreign Minister of the Netherlands, Wopke Hoekstra, on the sidelines of the Ministerial Forum for Cooperation in the Indo-Pacific held at the Foreign Ministry of the French Republic in Paris. Several topics were discussed by Minister Professor Pires and the Dutch Foreign Minister, including cooperation in dairy farming, horticulture, agro-based industry, tourism, initiatives in higher education including the Erasmus scholarships and cultural cooperation with particular reference to the preservation of heritage sites and cultural artifacts. This news is brought to you by Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing local news, the religious ceremony to place sacred relics and the crystal gem at the Digavapi sacred site will be held from 2nd to the 6th of next month. The motorcade carrying sacred relics and the crystal gem is scheduled to commence on the 2nd of next month from the Sambodhi temple in Colombo. The Ministry of Defence said the motorcade will reach the Digavapi sacred site on the 4th of next month. Meanwhile, the motorcade transporting 28 Buddha statues to be placed on Sandahirusaya sacred area is scheduled to commence at 9 a.m. on the 4th. The ministry said the religious ceremony to place the statues in the Sandahirusaya will be held on the 5th under the patronage of Defence Secretary Kamal Gunaratna. 100,000 Mahaveli settlers will be handed over Ranbima land deeds. The presentation is scheduled to be held on Saturday at Ambilipitiya Mahaveli ground. During a media briefing in Colombo today, Minister Chamar Rajapaksa said that the land deeds recipients will be committed to contribute to the food production process of the country. He said that the government hopes to increase income of the people in Mahaveli zones. Minister Dallas Araparuma has requested Japan to make Sri Lanka an investment and tourism destination of Japan. During a function at the official residence of the Japanese ambassador, he said that Japanese entrepreneurs are invited to get involved in economic opportunities when Sri Lanka is trying to move towards prosperity. The 66th Annual Tourism Summit will be held from 19th to 21st April. More than 500 from India are expected to attend the summit. Minister Prasanna Ranatunga said that the summit intends to promote Sri Lanka as a tourist destination and to get down 500,000 Indian tourists annually to the country. Veteran journalist and television presenter Bandula Padmakumara has passed away at the age of 71. He passed away at a private hospital in Colombo while receiving treatment for a kidney ailment. Mr. Padmakumara was also a former editor-in-chief of Lakbima newspaper and former chairman of Lake House. With that, we conclude the local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Health Ministry said today 329 more patients have recovered from COVID-19 within last 24 hours. This brings the number of COVID-19 recoveries in the country to 607,912. Meanwhile, 16,580 patients are under medical care at present. Sri Lanka has registered 640,578 cases and 16,086 deaths since the outbreak of the COVID pandemic. That was our main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
This is Watchlight.
Government has paid attention on preparing an integrated identification methodology when implementing rural canals rehabilitation programs with the aim of executing Irrigation Prosperity Project more productively. Irrigation projects planned for this year are scheduled to begin while looking into the progress of programs last year. That came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
The headlines of the world news: Russia launches invasion of Ukraine. China rejects the term invasion. Oil prices soars after Russia orders troops into Ukraine. Scientific accident shows life may actually flash before our eyes as we die. Now the world news in detail. Russian forces have launched a major military assault on Ukraine with reports of missile strikes and explosions in major cities. Russian President Vladimir Putin has warned that Moscow's response will be instant if anyone tries to take on Russia. He urged Ukrainian soldiers in eastern Ukraine to lay down weapons and return to their homes. A Ukrainian state air traffic service has closed the country's airspace as the country comes under attack. Ukraine's foreign minister accused Russia of starting a full-scale war and urges the UN to do everything possible to stop it. US President Joe Biden vowed that the world will hold Russia accountable. The EU says Putin has brought war back to Europe. NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg says the bloc will do all it takes to defend all allies. China reiterated today a call for all parties involved in the situation in Ukraine to exercise restraint and rejected a foreign journalist's description of Russia's actions as an invasion. Oil prices have surged past $100 a barrel to hit their highest level for more than 7 years after Russia launched an invasion of Ukraine. Shares also fell sharply and the price of gold rose as investors worried about the possible impact of the conflict. Russia is the second biggest exporter of crude oil and is also the world's largest natural gas exporter. New data from a scientific accident has suggested that life may actually flash before our eyes as we die. A team of scientists set out to measure the brain waves of an 87-year-old patient who had developed epilepsy. But during the neurological recording, he suffered a fatal heart attack, offering an unexpected recording of a dying brain. It revealed that in 30 seconds before and after, the man's brain waves followed the same patterns as dreaming or recalling memories. That was World News. Prior to concluding, the headlines of the World News once again. Russia launches invasion of Ukraine. China rejects the term invasion. Oil price wars after Russia orders troops into Ukraine. Scientific accident shows life may actually flash before our eyes as we die. With that, we conclude the World News.
Development News is brought to you by Let's take coal out of the coconut tree and make the island thriving and prosperous. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
Digital Citizen Engagement for the Prevention of Illicit Environmental Activities initiative has been launched by the United Nations Development Programme in Sri Lanka in collaboration with the Ministry of Wildlife and Forest Conservation, the Citra Social Innovation Lab, and the Centre for Environmental Justice. The first co-design workshop for the Digital Citizen Engagement Initiative took place recently with the presence of representatives from 16 government institutions. That was Development News.
Development News was brought to you by the coconut tree is well grown in almost all the parts of the island. It is an exceptional source of extra income. The shell, the husk and almost all the parts of the coconut tree makes you money, providing you with an excellent extra source of income. It will also help to nourish the economy of the country. You will be guided with all necessary informations regarding the coconut cultivation, with the novel cultivation techniques and all other related and upgraded informations by the Coconut Research Institute, Lunavilla. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928. Sports News is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
The first T20 match between Sri Lanka and India will be played today in Lucknow. The match is scheduled to begin at 7 p.m. tonight. India has won 14 T20 matches and Sri Lanka has won 7 matches that were played between them. Teams at the Women's World Cup will be able to fulfill their fixtures with only 9 fit players if their squad is hit by COVID-19. The tournament in New Zealand, which has some of the world's strictest COVID protocols, begins on 4th March. The 8 teams have squads of 15 players with a maximum of 3 travelling reserves. If a game is not played and cannot be rescheduled, it will be abandoned and the points shared. That was Sports News.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
London College of Fashion with Celine has launched an unique collaboration that brings together Sri Lanka's 2,500-year-old history of handloom London to meet future designers wanting to create impact with design. Celine has been working with Fashion Business School, School of Design and Technology and School of Media and Communication at London College of Fashion. That was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
The overall rate of inflation as measured by National Consumer Price Index on year-on-year basis is 16.8% in January 2022 and inflation calculated for December 2021 was 14%. With respect to January 2021, the reported inflation for the month of January 2022 was mainly due to the higher price levels prevailing in both food and non-food groups. That was Economic News.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
The Weather Report.
Finally, it's a look at the weather report. Met Department says several spells of showers will occur in north central, eastern and Nuva provinces and in Hambantota district. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in western, Sabaragamuwa and central provinces and in Galle and Mathura districts during the evening or night. Fairly heavy showers above 50 millimeters can be expected at some places. That was the weather report. Prior to concluding this bulletin of news, the headlines once again. A commission will be appointed to solve problems of railway workers. Development projects island-wide will be implemented according to a national plan. The government says there are sufficient fuel stocks for 10 days. It has been emphasized that all governments should be held responsible for the present dollar issue. Sri Lankan and Dutch foreign ministers resolved to intensify cooperation. Sacred relics and the crystal gem will be taken to the Gavapi sacred site on the 2nd of next month. With that, we conclude the news.